Sarah.
And I'm David. Let's talk about the Amazing Race 35 finale.
We have a winner.
We
Top
do.
3 did it. So much fun. But first, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up.
And you can support us on Patreon if you like it. Patreon.com/Nerdtainment.
We're here.
We are here. We watched it live together, which we don't get to do that often anymore.
We really only do like premieres and finales.
Yeah,
now.
But it's so much more fun to watch with Sarah. And we're like grabbing onto each other at the dramatic moments. And
we're saying editing,
which honestly, some of this was not editing.
Couldn't tell, which is the highlight of a scramble.
Yeah.
To be honest.
It was fun to have this scramble. Yeah, they're flying from Dublin to Seattle for this final leg. Seattle's sort of a different landings. Usually they end in LA, don't they?
Well, they were in Nashville,
I guess they
New
did
Orleans,
so they're
New
somewhere
York. Like it does change around, but I don't know. Seattle does have a different vibe to it.
It does, yeah. So they're flying from Dublin clear across the U.S. to Seattle. They're all on the same plane. At the beginning of the episode, they're definitely setting Joel and Garrett up as the underdog, right? And that's their narrative here.
Yep.
But of course, the first place they go when they get to Seattle is the Space Needle.
Y'all, David and I have been to Seattle together.
We have, for work.
We did a work trip.
Almost 10 years ago. Can you believe that?
What? Is it really?
Yeah, 2014.
No.
Yeah.
Well, all right. It was a minute ago. I can't imagine we're that old, David.
We're not. We haven't aged. Time has just passed.
No, but I'm pretty sure we went up to the Space Needle one night.
We did,
for,
I think so.
Times.
Yeah. I do remember.
Uh-oh. What do you remember? Uh-oh.
So y'all know I'm afraid of heights. But I wasn't that scared at the Space Needle.
Because you're like
inside. You're like, there's a barrier and whatever. But it's not a complete barrier, right? Like you can reach out and like it's open air you go out onto the balcony or whatever.
I don't remember.
Patio or whatever it is.
I might have passed on that.
But I remember because I have, in addition to being afraid of heights, when I'm up somewhere high, I have an urge to throw something off of it. And so, and also like when I pass by like a grate, like on the subway or something, if there's like a grate, I have to like clutch onto my phone in my pocket because I have this urge to take my phone out and like drop it into the grate or throw it off of a building.
David.
So I remember being like, I was trying to take pictures when we were out on the Space Needle of the view. And I was like, don't throw your phone, don't throw your phone, don't throw your phone. It's such a weird urge.
That is bizarre. But I was just excited that we were watching it and we could say, oh, we've been there.
We've been there together.
Cute.
Sarah does not remember me almost throwing my phone, but it did.
I don't remember being outside.
Yeah.
I remember other things from that trip.
Yes.
That we won't say on the
podcast. Right. Off air. But yeah, we were excited to see the Space Needle and so cool for them to go up to the tippy top. Yeah. The roof of the Space Needle, if there is such a thing.
You even said you would be able to do that.
I think so. Because
you're harnessed in.
You're harnessed in, and it wasn't like the harness is super taut from them walking around. Like there was some slack, so I'm like, they can kind of walk freely. It's like sloped, but it's not that intensely sloped. So I think if I focused on like, look, there's all this solid ground underneath you, I'd be fine to kind of walk around, and the view really was breathtaking.
Oh, it looked amazing. It was very cool, but I thought that was interesting that both teammates had to do it, right? So we see like the first ones going and then the second ones. Rob and Corey are in the lead.
Yeah. And then
but we're all pretty close here.
John and Garrett John and Greg and then Joel and Garrett.
Yes. Yeah. We're pretty close here. And there is actually some shots where you can see like all the teams are kind of
they're
walking
sort of in progress. Yeah, at the same time. So then as they finish, they're like going down the elevator. They have to run into this like glass house to get a clue. And then that's where they learn that it's the scramble.
Scramble! What a great production choice.
I think so too.
For a finale.
I mean, it's tough to track these things with what we do in terms of like taking notes and remembering how things went in the episode. But I think it's so smart for a finale to have that added level of pressure because you don't know where all the other teams are. You don't know what order you're in. This
is like, oh, they weren't just tricking us. Like you can really mess up an edit for us to not know who's so far ahead. So that was fun. And we have different strategies, right? Rob and Corey are like, we're going to get all the directions and we're going to go to the furthest one out so that we know how to come back.
Right.
And the other two teams are going to do the opposite.
Right. So it's grab, it's grunge, and it's glass.
Yes.
And those are the 3 tasks. And grab is the furthest away, right? The trapeze
The
thing, because that's
trapeze.
where Rob and Corey go first.
Mhm.
I was sort of looking at how people were getting directions, and Joel and Garrett were like just using a paper map
Yeah.
to like find everything, and the other 2 were on phones. And I think you made a comment of like, oh, they should have used a phone. I kind of initially thought, oh, it's good that they're not reliant on a phone.
Yeah.
Because I think it's kind of easy to like, the phone just tells you, but you're
Mhm.
not actually like working through in your brain how to get there. So if you can just look at a map and figure out how to get there, I think that maybe serves you better. But it was unclear because Joel and Garrett ended up getting a little behind, I think,
And
with
then getting ahead.
directions.
So,
Yeah.
like, maybe it didn't matter. Maybe
Right.
it didn't make a difference. I was
Yeah.
just noting at first
Yeah.
that they did it differently. But so we're going to see Rob and Corey get to grab the
Yeah.
trapeze first. And of course, Corey is going to be like, I'm athletic.
I'm an athlete. I'm
I
flexible.
got this.
Yeah.
He goes up there,
Brrr.
flimps around,
Yeah.
grabs the arms. I mean, it's very cool.
Yeah.
And I've done this.
Okay.
I was young though, so I did some of my youth in Sarasota, Florida, and that's where the Ringling Brothers Circus is.
Okay.
And they have like a whole kids school.
Yeah.
Like you train and take classes. So like after school, I went and did circus classes.
Oh my God.
And this trapeze stuff is no joke.
Well, for me, I was thinking the core strength it takes to like
Yeah.
lift your legs up over your head and through the bar and all that stuff. But then you were talking more about the
And the
importance of
timing.
momentum.
Yeah. Well, momentum and then timing, right?
Yeah.
So when they go, huh, you like have to go, and then you have to spin, and then you have to meet up at that right time. And if you don't have the core strength,
Yeah.
then you got to have momentum.
Yeah. Yeah. And Rob did not have the core strength.
So Corey's going to get through that. And then Rob's going to be like, wait a minute. How does this work?
Oh,
Yeah.
yikes. Yes.
That's where the struggle comes in.
So the other 2 teams, meanwhile, have chosen to do the closest one first. So they're both at glass.
Oh boy.
The glass blowing. And ultimately, like what they're accomplishing with the scramble is like at each place they get a piece of this clue, and that's going to tell them where to go next
final.
once they complete the scramble.
Mhm.
But you have to create this like glass sea float, whatever that is. It's basically just like a glass bulb that
glass
they
bulb.
then seal with
Yeah.
something. But I was watching this and like I don't know if y'all have seen the Netflix show
Blown Away?
Blown Away. Yes.
Amy has.
Yes. And I said out loud, I was like, do not suck in when you're blowing that thing, because if you suck in
You
that
were-
hot air, you're gonna like burn your lungs.
Is
So I
that
was
what
like,
Blown Away is about?
well, Blown Away is like a glass blowing competition
Oh.
series.
Did you develop it? Are you in charge of it?
No, I
Okay.
wasn't in charge of that one.
No, I had never heard that you can't suck it in, but
Yeah.
David was highly concerned.
I
the entire
was,
time.
because I did not hear that in the instructions.
No, but I'm sure they just edited it out.
I'm sure they did, but I'm like, you need to highlight that. So the glass blowing is all about getting it hot enough, right? To be able to like blow a little bubble into the end of the glass. And that's when you sort of start to roll it and create this sphere with more blowing. And the person who's like blowing has to like go with
Has
you
to
as
roll,
you're rolling
yeah.
it back and forth.
I mean, I haven't watched Blown Away. I don't know a lot about glass blowing, but
Yeah.
it looks hard.
Oh, John is blowing like his life depends on it.
For $1 million.
And nothing's happening to that glass globe.
I have to admit, it's fun to watch because you're
Yeah.
like, are you blowing?
He's blowing so hard that like the air is escaping the edges of his mouth because it's not going anywhere into the glass. And Greg's like, are you blowing? And John's like, I'm purple because
about
I'm
to
blowing
pass
so
out.
hard.
Yeah, I'm blowing. Yeah, so Joel and Garrett are there right behind them, right?
Yeah.
So they're basically
2
there
teams there
together.
at once, yes.
And there is a learning curve they're getting at,
Mhm.
but Joel and Garrett are going to get it quicker.
They are, because we see John and Greg make a few that are like too small. They're cracking.
Yes.
Like when you detach the pole, your blowing tube from the thing, it breaks off a little extra piece of the glass. It's
Yes.
just not perfect.
Oh, it took them way too many times.
6, right?
Only takes Joel and Garrett like a couple.
Yeah.
They're going to get out of there, which is just adding stress to John and Greg.
Yeah.
But then back to Rob and Corey.
Oh, yeah.
Rob is getting some techniques.
He is. He's learning the technique of like you can do your legs around the bar rather than like up and through.
Not up and through. That's too hard. Up and around.
The one thing I kept seeing with Rob and Joel and Garrett eventually too was when you swing out and you whip those legs around and you get them over the bar and then you're getting resituated, you're swinging back towards the platform and there are quite a few close calls where I'm like, you're about to smack your head on this platform.
You're not gonna, but it sure looks like it, right?
It does.
It probably feels like it too.
Yeah.
But Rob is gonna eventually get it.
Yeah.
It takes him quite a while, but he nails it.
It was so satisfying.
Very exciting.
When he, finally got it.
Absolutely. So now we know, oh boy, they're gonna collide at this grunge, right?
That's because they both had to grunge.
One for all teams.
Yeah. Yep.
That's where we're headed while John and Greg are still trying to figure out
the glass. It's like third attempt, fourth attempt.
Yeah.
I think it was, like I said, finally
now it's
sixth
the
attempt.
right size, but now it's going to break.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. This is stressful.
Yeah. So we're just like creating this, situation where John and Greg are now behind.
Yes.
And they're just not nailing it on these early challenges. And you can't this is the final leg. Like, there's really no room for error kind of thing is what we're thinking. So not a great start for them. Joel and Garrett actually get to grunge first because they were at glass and it's closer. So Rob and Corey have a little bit further to go.
Yeah.
But they start to get set up. They're loving it. Rob and Corey arrive while they're setting up, but then Joel and Garrett do their check. And one of the moodier checkers we've had in a minute. I mean, we had some moody ones in like Thailand and Vietnam, I remember. But this guy is just like,
nope.
Oh,
we're like, oh.
Yeah. Okay. And then he checks a second time. And because they realize, I think Joel and Garrett didn't have any of the power chords.
No,
on the
they
first
had no
time.
power chords.
Then they get 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, no. Again.
As if no. Like, did you not hear me? No.
Yeah.
God, sir. I'd rather be booed in Ireland.
I know.
Nope.
Yeah,
okay.
I know. He was rude.
So the troublemakers were this thing on top of the amp, right?
Which Joel and Garrett just figured out by chance.
They struggle. They're like, where is this? But they're going to get
like,
it.
oh, we got it. You got to flip it over. Like the other two teams have a much harder time with that.
Then they're going to realize, oh, there's power cords. Okay.
Yeah.
They're going to have to look around because all of these power cords are like up inside the instruments or the gear.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to figure that out. They're going to, the guy then cheers up to say,
Bright Lights or whatever the band's name
Tuesdays,
is. Yeah.
Come out for your sound check, whatever it was.
Barnes and Noble, get out here. Yes.
And then we get a little bit of a performance, which is fun.
And Joel and Garrett are done first. Greg and John have now arrived, so they're not that far behind. But Joel and Garrett are now finishing, and they're rocking out for a little too long. I'm like, guys,
let's go.
Go.
They're in a race.
They're like staying in the mosh pit.
Yeah, they're gonna get their food. They're gonna head out first. You guys, Joel and Garrett are officially in the lead.
First place.
They're gonna head to grab. Now we're thinking, but we know where they're headed.
To the glass blowing.
No.
To the trapeze.
Yeah.
And we're thinking
they're not gonna nail
strength on these two is not their strength.
It's not gonna be a first try.
Yeah.
For these two.
Right. So we're a little worried about the trapeze for them.
So Rob and Corey.
Yeah.
They're still doing grunge.
They're looking around. It's like Rob and Corey don't even realize that the power chords are a thing. Because I think at some point Greg and John are like, oh, did you guys find the power chords? And Corey's like, no.
Power chords, you said.
We didn't. But they're all really having a hard time finding the thing that's you flip over.
Yep.
And Rob and Corey ultimately find it. And they're like, oh, be quiet. Don't say anything.
Because John and Greg were asking.
John and Greg.
Stop talking about it.
Must have been. Well, they probably don't care because they won. But if they had not won. Imagine watching back this segment where literally John picks it up and is looking into the amp and it's right here.
Y'all.
And then he puts it back down.
Y'all, we were like, no. We're like right there. They're like not even. They're just doing this. Just doing this. Which I'm sure is natural.
Of course.
It's looking like this.
But you just get into the, like, they're looking over and over and over, and eventually then they find the power chords, which are like stashed in the back of the amps, right? So that's part of it. But you sort of get into the rhythm of looking in spots the same exact way.
Over and over. Same
Or you
thing.
just do this again.
Yeah.
And then this again. And you're not like, how could I look at this differently?
How can I look at this differently? Yeah, but this is where it gets like even more stressful because Rob and Corey are having similar issues, but they're going to figure it out quicker.
Yes.
And then they're going to leave.
And then John and Greg are going out to get cases again.
They're going to
dragging
through them
cases back
again.
inside.
You can only open them by the stage. So
Yep.
you have to drag them back to look at them. Oh my God. Them lifting that over and over
No.
again.
No.
Just was so hard to watch.
And finally, they have this, you know, the same moment as Rob and Corey did where they like catch it and they're like, oh my God, here it is.
Here it is. This is it. Here's all the power chords.
Yes.
So they're going to finally get out of it.
Yep.
But that means Rob and Corey are at Glassblowing now.
Joel and Garrett are at Trapeze.
Joel and Garrett are working on Trapeze like we assumed. It was not on their first get.
What I was surprised to hear from Joel was that he is going to start a gym with his wife. He's hauling up that ladder to the platform and he's like, my wife is a personal trainer. And when I finished The Amazing Race, we're starting a gym. And I was like,
amazing.
listen, you guys
We didn't know.
have subverted expectations
This all time.
every single stage of this race.
Yes.
So I'm continually surprised by them and I love it. So
Yes.
he gets up there and honestly, Joel doesn't do too bad.
No.
Like the pieces are there. He just needs to like get in the groove, right?
Yeah, I think Joel, it sounded, I don't think they showed us, but it sounded in the edit like Joel had to step away and take a breather. Kind of like the Riverdance.
Riverdance, yeah.
Where he was just like, I'm going to get
I'm
in my
gonna get
head
this.
about it.
Yeah.
But Garrett did a really great flip and he
Oh.
was just like so close.
So close.
So it doesn't take them too long. It's only like 2 or 3 tries each.
Right. Because we were wondering, like John and Greg eventually do arrive at Trapeze while Joel and Garrett are still going through it. And we were wondering, like, is this you have to wait until the other team get, like, do John and Greg have to wait until Joel and Garrett are done in order to start? Or can
Like, if
they
you-
like switch off kind of a thing?
Like if you don't get it,
Yeah.
do you then go to the back of the line and
Right.
the next person goes? It was not clear how this worked.
Yeah. So it wasn't, like maybe John and Greg were just still going through the training when Joel and Garrett finished.
Yeah.
And so there wasn't.
Or were they waiting?
Right.
Right.
We're not sure. But it was great to see Joel finally get it and then
Yes.
Garrett gets it. And it's just like, oh my God, like it didn't take them that long to finish it.
No,
ultimately.
it didn't seem like it. And once again, our underdogs are in the lead. They are in first place.
Yes.
We should say Rob and Corey, even though like John and Greg are here doing their training, getting ready, Rob and Corey are struggling at the glass.
Sarah and I were not buying it.
This is David.
Because we were like,
oh,
you're having a hard time.
Are you still? Oh, you can't blow.
Oh, you can't get the bubble
We didn't know if
in
that
the
was
glass
happening
at the
or
end.
not.
We were rolling our eyes because we went into this thinking Corey and Rob are going to pull this out and they're going to win.
Yeah.
So we're watching the glass blowing thing. And I think if we'd been watching it through a different lens, we would probably be like, oh, this is probably hard to watch.
Yes.
The glass blowing thing. But we were just like, okay, you're having a hard time.
I mean, that's again, I credit to the scramble. Like, that's great.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't tell if they were really falling behind or if this was just editing.
100%.
But we
Yeah.
do get to see. So Joel and Garrett are off in the car with their little
Their
crew.
airplane pieced together.
They're going to another town, Kenmore, Washington.
Yeah.
And John and Greg, as we assumed,
Yeah.
hop up there.
Oh,
one try.
one try for John.
and,
Two
and
tries
we're
for
done.
Greg.
2
And
tries
that's
for
it.
Greg. That's it.
How great was it when Joel and Garrett are off and they're stopping at the gas station for directions and the guy's like, oh, this is Amazing Race. Have my
Oh,
phone.
Here we go. Amazing Race.
Take my
love
phone.
This show. I love it.
Yeah.
You watch the show. This is amazing. Yes, I'll get you there. Yes, I hope you watch
Me
this
too.
whole season. We love you. Way to go. Way to be
Because
a fan.
the team seem to still not be able to say like we're on the Amazing Race. Like they keep saying like we're on a TV show
We're
and it's a race for $1
racing.
million.
Mhm. Yeah.
But this guy's like, oh, Amazing Race here.
He's like, I know it.
Whatever
I know
you need.
Yes. Fans in Seattle.
So it is Joel and Garrett who get to this final location first, which is where they have to order the kayaks.
Yes. So John and Greg are going to be behind them,
Yeah.
getting directions,
Right.
while Rob and Corey are still at the glass.
Yeah.
This takes us to our final challenge.
Final task. And this is like the memory, the putting things in order. It's similar to the like put all of the, country's flags in order that you raced
Right.
this season. But this one is all of the, pit
Well,
stop or roadblocks and detours and all of these
The
things
task.
that they had to do and put them in order.
But they're on heavy kayaks.
Yeah.
And that
And
does
just like
make a
cumbersome
difference.
kayaks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they have to stack them, and Joel and Garrett, right away, they're doing the like dun 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 music cue when they switch the two tasks that had to do with heights. Bird's eye view versus above it all.
Right. And Garrett had it right first.
He did.
And Joel said,
No,
that's the one I did on first leg.
Yeah.
They switched it. And then from that moment on, that's the problem.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, we should have put this one on the top wrong and then this one on the second wrong.
Right.
For a second.
Just trying to
check.
come
And then
up
it's
with
still wrong.
Yeah, why would our check be wrong? What have we missed?
Yeah.
No, maybe we just need to reposition them.
Yeah.
I thought when they said reposition them that they meant
I know.
bottom
I
order
know.
on first. And I thought they were going to do it
all the way across.
And I was like, no,
That's bad. Bad
don't
news.
do it. Luckily, it was just like shifting up.
Uh-huh.
But they're just not seeing their
They're
mistake. Meanwhile, John and Greg on your heels.
It's really John here. Greg steps aside and he's like, John has an insane memory, so I'm just going to let him go. And Sarah's like, at least help move the kayaks.
That's great. John's going to take the lead, but we need two people.
Yeah.
Because Joel and Garrett have it basically done.
Yeah, they're checking.
They just need to figure out their mistake.
Yeah.
But yeah, Greg is going to start like hauling things, but John takes the lead, and that is an amazing memory if he was just doing that by himself.
But he's like off to the races.
Yeah,
meanwhile, Rob and Corey have finished glassblowing finally. And then we get a thing where they're in the car and Corey's in the back seat. Rob is driving and Corey's like, I don't know, like we've run out of my directions. Like, I'm not sure where we are. And again, I'm like,
okay, you don't know where you
okay.
We're so
but
cynical.
then, I mean, when Joel and Garrett and John and Greg are both with the kayaks, it's like, well, now I know that they actually are in last place. And when they finally arrive, you were like, did we even see them with other people?
Yeah, I honestly
are we sure they're there at the same time?
Yeah. Rob and Corey might have been so far behind because when they do show up to the kayaks, I don't think we got a wide shot.
There wasn't a lot of like, oh, teams are still here when Rob and Corey get there.
Not.
Yeah.
Because you do hear from John and Greg, like, oh, Joel and Garrett look like they're almost done. Like, we get those sound bites.
We do.
Did not get them with Rob and Corey.
Did not.
That glass blowing might have been harder than
they might have legitimately also gotten lost with the directions to the airplane thing. So anyway, John has this amazing memory and he gets it done.
Yep.
John and Greg get their check and they're out.
Done. You're gone.
I'm blown away.
Yeah.
Because they struggled so much on the glass blowing thing.
Yep.
And took so long. And then the
grunge
grunge thing was also not good.
So painful to watch.
But they picked up so much time on the trapeze, apparently, by getting out in 1 and 2 attempts each.
And not getting lost, getting to this location.
So they're first done. And then, editing wise at least, Joel and Garrett are quickly behind them. They realize they're like, oh my gosh, should we change the two that have to do with heights? And then they switch them and they're like, how could we make this mistake? But they're off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, go, go, go. And the way they edited these two teams arriving to Marymore Park or whatever it's called,
they're like,
I had
here's
no
the
idea.
sign over here. I was like, who's talking about office space? No, it's a mansion. I don't know.
And they're like, is this a parking lot?
Like, yeah, I genuinely couldn't tell what was going to happen here. Great editing. But who rounds the corner?
John and Greg.
John and Greg. Winners.
So
Season.
Excited
What
for
are we
them.
on? 35?
35. They're jumping for joy and tripping over themselves as they get onto the final pit stop stage. But Phil is like, whoa, you guys are excited. I have not
Yes.
seen this level of excitement.
Well, they said that they were racing because they thought they saw another car. They
Yeah.
were not sure how close it was. So
Yeah.
they were really running in.
Yeah.
Which
And
is
then when they don't
exciting.
see any other teams on stage, they're like, we just won $1 million.
You did.
Of course you're excited.
Oh my gosh. David was a little emotional.
I was honestly a little more emotional for Joel and Garrett, though. And that made me realize I was rooting for them.
Love my Joel and Garrett.
It came down to it, and I wanted them to win because of that. You know I love an underdog.
Yes.
I always talk about that.
They were the only team to give me points all season long.
Yeah.
Thank you for trying to give me a push here at the end. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was so lovely to watch Joel and Garrett.
Yeah.
I mean, from the beginning, they were never the fastest.
No.
Like, go, go, go. They never had that energy.
Yeah.
They were always just like, happy to be here.
Well,
Let's do it.
That's what got me emotional when Joel gave his speech where he's like, we ran this race without yelling at each other, without bickering, without calling each other names.
No.
And
right?
like we
I
held
think
each other up.
I would call David names.
Oh, 100%.
We would bicker.
We would have a talk at some point where it's like one of us would say to the other, you can't speak to me that way.
Yes, of course.
You know, we would have that conversation for sure.
We would go, mm-mm.
Okay.
We're not racing right now.
So
That's not how we're going to do this.
right. It'd be a leg where we're like, we think we're last.
Yeah.
And we're second to last.
Yeah.
And Phil's like, I'm pleased to tell you you're still in the race. And Sarah would be like, sorry, Phil.
No, Phil,
Give me 1 second.
if I have to do another leg, we're going to clear some stuff up here. Yeah.
Right here on the map.
Hopefully we can do that off camera.
Yeah.
But there's no way we'd stand there at the end like Joel and Garrett and be like, we never fought.
Never
at
fought.
all."
Not once. But I really was getting misty. And they spoke themselves about like, we don't look the part.
No.
We don't act the part.
Yes.
And we just kept going. And now we're second place on the Amazing Race. Like, what a story.
What a story. I'm still shook that they're second. I mean, we were so excited they made it to the finals.
Yeah.
And then they placed second.
Yeah.
I mean, incredible.
Incredible.
I mean, and honestly, my heart breaks a little for Rob and Corey because they're not a third place team. Like, they're
No.
a strong team.
Strong team for sure.
And I'm a little shocked that they came in third, but also
It was-
not because you know that like Rob is going to struggle with certain physical things.
Sure. Yeah, it's true. But I also wondered, like, they had the strategy of going further out first and then working your way back in. But then you got to think about, like, where did they have to go after that? And perhaps the airport thing, the airplane kayak situation, was closer to the trapeze location than it was to Glass.
That's
right?
That might be.
So maybe there was
You
some
don't know.
extra time built in there. I'm not sure. But they were so strong all season. And, you know, they had a beautiful interview as well where Rob is like, he's my son. And now we have all of these. We'll be talking about these experiences for years and years and years. And just loved getting to know them too. But like John and Greg, they have been also so positive all season long.
Yes,
like Joel
right.
and Garrett. Like we've talked last episode where about their like, aw shucks, gee willikers kind of demeanor. And they just are such nice guys.
Yeah.
And they reached out and invited us to their finale
Oh,
party.
you guys, they watched our stream. Felt bad we didn't get invited. John reached out, invited us. Such lovely people.
You should have known then that he won.
No,
when
not
he
necessarily. Because
reached
they're
out
just
to
so
invite you.
polite.
I guess so.
Last year, Lewis invited me, and he
Oh,
wasn't the
okay,
winner, but he
okay.
was hosting in Miami, so
Yeah.
maybe that
Yeah.
was it. But gosh, they're just such nice guys.
I know.
I can't wait to talk to all of them tomorrow. This was such a lovely final three.
Yes.
And yeah, I think it was only a couple minutes apart when Joel and Garrett got up.
Well, yeah, Greg goes, we just got here 120 seconds ago.
I was like,
Let me do the math.
seconds ago.
Yeah.
Who says time like that? But I was like, mathematically, that's only a couple minutes.
Only a couple minutes, yeah.
That's
But
how
they
I
were
would've
probably
said it.
still like mid-interview with
Yeah.
Phil
Yeah.
when Joel and Garrett arrive.
I mean, not only are we like, whoa, Joel and Garrett came in second.
Yeah.
They almost won.
Yeah.
Like, that was so close.
And I think, like, based on the other teams' reactions, I think all three of these teams were really beloved by the rest of the cast. They just all were really happy and like tearing up at, you know, their final. I mean, I'm sure you can't help but tear up at anybody's final thing, but
Yeah.
not a villain in the bunch of this
No.
final three.
No.
So just really happy with them, and
All
I'm
deserving.
so happy for John and Greg.
However it was going to play out. But
Yeah.
yes, super, super excited for this season.
Yes.
Wow. So lovely. I get to talk to all three tomorrow. I'm
Yep.
very excited. So please come back and watch those interviews tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it for the season, y'all.
I know. Do you want to go through the draft points and let everybody know who won our amazing race
Guess. Y'all just
draft?
guess.
Yeah.
Guess who won?
Guess who won the draft again?
Well, let's give Kayla props. She had
She
John
had
and
the
Greg.
winners.
She had the winners, but even she couldn't beat Mr. James.
Nope. James
took us all
ran
down.
away with it. He had Robin, Corey, and Stephen Annalee, two very high scoring teams.
Yeah, he had Robin and Chelsea as well, who gave him some points.
Yeah.
But Robin, Corey, and Stephen Annalee gave him lots of points.
Mm-hmm.
And even though Greg and John were the highest point getters, and Kayla had them, her other two teams just didn't give her
Joe and
many.
Ian, Morgan and Lena, not high scoring teams.
David beat me.
Only by 1 point, but I did. Pulled
I
it out.
came in dead last, as Phil would
Dead
like to
last,
say.
as Annalee would say for
Yeah.
sure. But I would
Dead
say like I should be dead last because I was given the gift of Jocelyn and Victor after
That's true.
Alexandra and Sheridan were eliminated in the first episode. So I really was last place.
You could have.
in
You
this draft.
could have. Should have. But whatever. We
yeah.
gave it to you. We decided.
Yep.
I had 3 teams, like everybody.
Uh-huh.
2 of those teams gave me 0 points. I won't say names. It's on the spreadsheet if you want.
Yeah.
But Joel and Garrett were my sole team to give me points.
And I still only beat you by 1 point.
You
So
beat That's how this season went.
yes.
But it was fun.
Such a fun season, such a great cast. As the cast was like flooding the stage and everybody was hugging, we both were like, what a good cast this season.
Yes, absolutely. Next season is already slated on the schedule.
Love
you
it.
guys. It was the season filmed right before this one. They did a swap-a-do.
Really?
Yeah, this was technically
36.
36.
Interesting. I wonder why
But
they did that.
they did that because of the 90 minutes thing.
Oh.
So production was able to prepare with this season.
Oh, got it.
So that is a little heads up that the next season we watch was not shot or filmed with 90 minutes.
Are they
in
doing 90
mind,
minutes?
And they are doing 90 minutes. So they will be scrambling in the post-production department
Wow.
for that. So I don't know that it's going to like have that same zing,
But I would assume
I'm
like
sure
the
it's
footage
still a
is the
great
thing.
cast.
It's just you have to go in and re-edit everything.
Right. I think we're just going to have, like remember when they spent an hour at the Lotus Challenge?
I don't want that again.
That's what we're going to have next
Oh
season.
boy.
But I don't care. I'm here
I do
for
love the
it.
90 minutes. Yeah.
I'm here for it. I'm sure the cast is just as good, right?
I hope so. I would think
David
so.
was like, I don't know.
No, the casting is always good on this show. I love the
It is
diversity of casting
usually-
we get.
it
on
is
Amazing
usually
Race.
good.
Yeah.
All right. You guys,
Yes.
y'all,
You
been with
guys.
us all season.
Yes.
We love you. Thank you so
for
much.
sticking with us. And if you're joining us later, we love you too. Leave us a comment and let us know how you feel about John and Greg winning, Rob and Corey coming in third, and Joel and Garrett in the number 2 spot. Let us know all your thoughts on this finale.
Yeah. March 13th is the premiere date.
Yes.
That's when and whatever the Wednesday is before that, 7 minus 13
6.
is March 6th is
Yeah.
the Survivor premiere.
Okay.
So they're going to go boom, boom.
Boom, boom. And we'll probably have some drafts before
Oh,
then.
Get ready. March is going to be
Oh,
lit.
March Madness, as
Maybe
they say.
End of February might be lit.
Yeah.
We'll have some cast assessments, some drafts. Get ready for that.
Yes.
Also, hopefully going to have a live Nerdtainment meetup
Love that.
next year,
Yes.
paired with an Amazing Race episode.
Whoa.
Stay
Big
tuned.
plans, you guys.
I'm going to hopefully have info for you after the new year. for that.
Yes.
But I've been trying to get that into the works. We'll see if we can make it happen.
Love it.
All right, that's it. We'll see you next time.
See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.